welcome back to another video. As I said in my last video, we're going to be spraying the fog lock surrounds on the rear and the front today. I've just done a couple of tests on the front and they're just drying at the moment, so I've just whipped the back ones off. I'm going to sand it all down with some Scotch-Brite and then clean it up and hit it with some primer, a couple of coats of primer, and then get some gloss black on it. So here goes. Right, I'm hoping you can see that on the camera, but that top edge there is shiny, and as we bring it down this side it's all dull. That's how you want it to be. If you can still see any shiny bits coming through, then you need to sand it down a little bit more. I'm not sure if you can see, but across this piece here, that's where it starts to, that's where I've finished sanding. I'm going to come down here now. You can see it's still got a bit of shine to it, whereas this side's nice and flat. You need to give it a good key all the way around, paying particular attention to these edges here and the top edges here, because once it's back on the vehicle it's likely to peel first from there. So you need to get a good key on all the edges, which I've done the edges first, and I'm just going over. I'll go around all the edge, this flat edge here. Right, here we have the finished piece. I've got the other one wiped down in my little box there that I've made just to try and stop the paint from going everywhere, and primer and lacquer and all the rest of it. So we've got this one down. All I've got to do now is just wipe this one down with some of this. I got it from shop in town, it's Superdrug, just some surgical spirit wipe down, IPA or rubbing alcohol, anything like that, just to make sure you've got nothing left on here that can contaminate what you're about to do. And what I used was a little pad like this. It's a little foam squishy pad. I got 2 of them from Screwfix, shout out Screwfix. Just 2 of these, and this one's a bit more coarse. It's the medium grit, whereas the one I've used is the fine grit, which is for finishing. So all we're going to do is just get a cloth, dab some of that onto the cloth, and then just wipe all the way around the edge, trying to get all the little bits of dust and debris, and any bits of you know, waxes or oils left in the paint, or on this piece of plastic anyway, so that nothing else can contaminate once we're spraying. Right, so now that one's all wiped down and dried, you want to try to be careful with handling it, because the oils in your hands will potentially could contaminate anything that you do in the spraying part of things. So what I will do, you probably just noticed that then, I tried a test piece because I got some of this and it looks quite similar to the paint, and I thought it's not a bad match, you know, so we could do the fog surrounds themselves, not just the surrounds of the fog surrounds. But it didn't work out very well, because this is nowhere near that, and I prepared that, sprayed it with plastic primer, and then hit it with a couple of, had 2 coats of that, about 4 coats of that, and then hit it with 2 coats of this, and it comes out like this. And it might not look like it on camera, but it's more peach on camera. When you put it next to it, it's way out. It's even worse in, you know, off camera. But yeah, the camera's not picking it up that great, so it's a good job I did do a test piece, or else the fog surrounds would look even worse. So that's not being used. Well, I've got some of this in the cupboard, so we use some of that. Get that out of the way. And I got some of these from a shop called The Range. I'm sure you know of it. Obviously that one's from Halfords. Couple of coats of this. I think it was 2 coats of this. Then probably 2 or 3 coats of this. And then I lit it with about 3 coats of that. And yeah, we'll see how we get on in here. I'm going to try and do even coats, try and keep your spraying distance the same. Yeah, so here we go, let's try again. Give it a good shake up. Obviously if you read the label it'll tell you what to do. Got my little hook because you need to turn it round. So obviously you spray this side and across here, then I'll get my hook, turn it round, and then I can get the other side. Just try and give it the best adhesion that we can. There's one. In fact, I'm going to try and pick it up with the tabs. And on my hands, great stuff. And that should be enough for that one. So I'm going to try and carefully pick it up with the tabs because it's just a bit easier. Get the other one in there and get a couple of coats on that. It's already starting to dry, which is good. These little tabs around the edge, that's what I'm just trying to pick it up by so that I don't actually touch the surface. Probably should wear a mask as well, but I'm just not breathing in while this stuff's around, holding my breath. Just quickly, that is contamination. That's not what you want. So I'm going to have to give that a bit of a sanding in a minute. So got them just lent on there drying, and let it dry off for 5-10 minutes. It's quite a warm day today, so it will dry off quite quickly. So yeah, 5-10 minutes, and then we'll throw it back in the box, put another coat on. I'll sand that one down after it's a bit more than touch dry, and sand it down and wipe it off again, and then hit it with a bit more spray of primer, and then give them both another till they've had 2 coats, and then we'll hit it with the black. Whilst we're waiting for that, I'll show you what I've done on the front. I've got a new number plate, and I've done these, that one and that one, just black. I haven't actually done this insert here because I'm waiting to get Zunsport grills, so I'm just trying to keep it tying itself in a little bit at the moment. I'll show you something else that I've done. I've done a couple of little things, which I haven't filmed because it's just been little bits and bobs. I've got some of these Recaro badges for the seats, one over there, and obviously got them in the back as well. They're pretty cool. Had a lot of problems with the car. I had a problem with it cutting out, and as I was driving it would just cut out, come up on the dash, engine management fault or something or other, reduced acceleration, and I'd have to pull over, turn the car off, turn it to position 2, clear the messages on the indicator stalk, turn it off, turn it back on to position 2, leave it for a couple of seconds, then start it. And I couldn't really go more than 2 miles without it happening. And somebody on Facebook mentioned it could be the clocks, and apparently the clocks that are in these and the Fiestas and Mondeos, I think it was, they all suffer with bad connections on the inside of the instrument cluster. If you Google it, there's plenty of information about it, but that was happening to mine, so the clocks had to be sent away. Got them back and everything was fine. The car's not cut out once since, so touch wood, that's all right. Then came a fault, which was I'd try and press the horn and the main beam would flash. So instead of pressing the indicator stalk to get things to flash, I'd press the horn and my main beam would flash. And if I was to put my xenon headlights on, the passenger side was out. Driver's side was on, but the passenger side would be out, and I couldn't understand what was going on, didn't know what was going on. Someone said, try your connections on the chassis, behind the headlight, in front of the battery. You've got 3 connections on there, and they were in a bad way. So I've undone all those, cleaned them all up with a wire brush, cleaned all the chassis up as well, and put them all back in. And so far, horn works, lights all work. So happy days with that one. It's also the reason I've waited so long to do this painting video. But obviously, in the meantime, little things like that have been done. Replaced the stereo because I had the old 6-disc CD changer stopped working. What else? I'm sure there was something else, but I can't remember what. But anyway, we're getting off subject, so I'll go back over to the table, see what that primer's like, and sand it down, get it wiped down, and hopefully apply some more primer, and it will stop the contamination. But let's go and see. There we go, sanded that back a bit more again. Just going to give it a final wipe down with the surgical spirit I've got, and pop it back in the little booth and get spraying. That was a little bit better. I went a little bit thinner with that coat. I think I went a little bit thick too quick before. So that another little light mist again in a sec, and then I'll put the other one back in there and we'll spray that one up. That looks loads better. It's just what you want. I don't know if you can see it, but no contamination on that one, which is good. That's going to get, in fact, I'll give that a bit more of a go in. Going to give that edge a bit of a clean, a bit of a spray, sorry. Let it dissipate a little bit, dry a little bit, then we'll get the one that's not been a pain in the backside to do. Get that one in here. There we go, swap them over. Give this one its second coat. Spinning round again, coat the other side. I think that should do. So that's 2 coats on that one. I'm still waiting for that other one that was a pain in the butt to dry. That one can dry. Have another second coat, and then it'll be time for some black. Right, second coat for the pain in the arse side. good thing about this is it's drying quite quickly in there, so it's not too bad to handle. Right, that's the primer all sorted now. So that's both both surrounds had 2 coats of primer. Move on to black next. This is what they look like side by side. That's the one I've literally just sprayed. That one's been drying for about 5-10 minutes. Both pretty uniform, not pretty much the same, so it's all good. Ready for black. Let's put this one in my little makeshift booth, if you will. There we go. And as you can see, I'm trying not to touch the face of it because I don't want to put any extra oils or any rubbish off my hands. I'm pretty dirty. She's wearing gloves really, but never mind. Gloss black time. Try and get a really light coat first time. I'm putting it on an angle as well. I'm not putting it square on in the box like that. Putting it on the side so that I can obviously get this edge and the inside edge, and then obviously when I turn it round I've got the inside edge there and the outside edge on that part. So outside edges on one side, inside edges on the other side. Also, disclaimer, I am not a professional painter, so DIY it is. There we go, that's the one I've just painted, obviously because it's black, and that one's next, but I just wanted to show you how good it looks just after one quick coat. I think it looks brilliant, so on to the next one. And as I said, he's on the angle again, so I can get this edge, that edge and the inside edge there, and then when we're flipping around it will be this inside edge, the inside edge here, the outside edge of that and the outside edge of there. It's important to keep shaking this while you're painting as well. Don't breathe in. Right, so that's the first coat of black on both the surrounds. I'm hoping the other one's dried out a little bit now, so we'll get that one out, put the other one in, and then if it's dry enough we'll throw another coat on. It does say to leave approximately 15 minutes between coats, but it looks like it's going to rain, and I want this finished and done, so it's got to get lacquered soon. So I'm kind of rushing steps here. I don't really want to, but I'm kind of having to, because I'm also not driving around with a half painted bits of plastic. Looks silly. Right, here we have the finished article. It's had 2 coats of lacquer over the different coats of gloss black and primer and everything else, and I think I ain't done a too bad job. You know, for what they are, it will do fine. You know, it's just a surround for the rear fog light bit. So I'm going to leave them to dry now. Planning to leave them in my shed overnight, and then I'll refit them tomorrow. I'll add that bit into the end of the video. Right, just got these out the shed. Left them in there overnight, and I'm pretty pleased with how they turned out, considering, you know, what they are. So get these fitted now, and I'll add a little bit of a cinematic shot into the end of it just so you can see what they look like on the car. Thanks for watching.